My name is Anna Bryant, and I live in North Carolina. I'm a mother of two boys, and I'm a scientist by training. Um, but I've had a fairly varied career over the
Yeah,
years, and I'm
yeah.
still trying to figure out exactly what I want to be when I grow up.
I'm curious what ultimately brought you into the program, but because you did it twice, I really want to hear from you, like, what
Yeah.
brought you in at first, but then, what was it, 3 years? Has it been 3
hmm
years? 3 years later, you opted to do it again.
I was feeling completely stuck and empty. Um, I felt lonely even when I was surrounded by people. I just didn't feel purpose and meaning, despite, leading what from the outside would look like a very fulfilling life. And I hated feeling that way. I think what really attracted me to joining the first time
Mhm.
was the way the program was framed as not just a way to fix my problems, not just do these six tricks and everything will be better, but it was framed as a way to harness my own power and learn a new way of approaching the world with it.
Yes.
And that felt like a real solution, as opposed to a quick fix, or it felt like it would be deep enough to actually touch what I needed it to.
Mm.
So the second time around, um, it was a fairly easy decision because I knew what the program was and I knew exactly what it could give me. And I could recognize such a perfect fit for where I was at my life right then.
Before there's a huge question, will this work? I don't know. There's like a if
Yes.
attached to it. And so now I need sort of support, but to be able to say, like, I need support and then just jump in, get the
Yeah.
support, go get it
Yeah.
versus struggling and like, whatever. Like you took yourself as far as you could go. And then you're like, okay, now's the time to get support. And now I can be off again
Yeah.
to do this thing. That's so great. Because I feel like so many mamas suffer probably longer than they need to
Yeah.
because there's like either a question of will the support even help me? Will it get deep enough? Like you said,
Yeah.
um, do I even deserve it? Versus like, hey, I've I know I can do a lot on my own and I'm also allowed to get support. And right now I need support. So I'm gonna go get that support that I know I can rely
Yeah.
on. That's amazing. That's so cool.
And the first time around, it was so much harder to imagine investing the time every week that I will make sure I have this 2 hour call time available every week. I will make sure I have this 3 hour hard work time. That was like a commitment I had to really think through. Like, am I going to be able to do this? But this time around, you were like, would you be interested? And I was like, yes, I can do this. I know exactly how to invest this time into this program, and I know it's worth it.
I feel like that's another big thing because so many mamas struggle to know that they can follow through, right?
Yeah.
And to
Yep.
know that they can show up for themselves consistently. And so for you to be like, "Oh yeah, I know I can do that because I did it before." It's like, can you share specifically like what like lesson or week or activity really has kind of transformed or like really helped you kind of have like a turning point, and it could be from the first time or the second time or both, but just like which one has really kind of impacted you a lot?
So the first time, I think that the values exercise
Mm,
was super powerful for me simply because I had never really thought about my own values.
mm,
I had left the church behind and, in my 20s, but not
mhm.
really considered, okay, that was the value system that I was handed. What do I want to keep from that? What do I want to change with that? I just didn't think about it. And so the idea of naming and knowing my values and then actually being able to use them as a filter for how I lived was revolutionary. They have already been able to give me perspective on, decisions I have to make, or even just how to spend my time, even just how to maybe nurture myself when something doesn't feel right. Right. I
Mm,
have that reference point that I didn't have for,
yeah,
15, 20 years.
totally,
But when I
totally.
did have it, when it was given to me, that never felt right. I was
Right.
never asked if these values resonated with me, and I had to use them as a filter for my life, and that it never felt right. So being able to really craft my own and begin to understand myself more through those, the first time around, that was really powerful.
What were some of your root issues that you identified in the program, either in the first round or the second? And like, how do you feel like the program helped you address those things?
So first time I come in, I don't really have a strong sense of self,
Mm,
and the I think a lot of the root issues I was coming from here were, um, having spent a lot of my life putting on a mask or a performance to be the type of person that I thought others would like, that others would
mm,
respect, that others would want to be around.
mm,
Um, and after, a lifetime of doing that, it's maybe not surprising that I couldn't find myself underneath all of that, that I
mm,
couldn't really see who Anna was.
mhm,
Um, and I had, I'd gotten really good at being all of these other things. It just still felt empty.
mm,
So having to really think about myself and try to connect to my own knowing for the first time in my life, maybe since I was like 3 years old,
mm,
um, in that first program, it was really hard, but it really went to that core, right? That
mm,
core that at some point as a child, I knew something. I knew I wanted something. I knew I was scared of something. I knew I felt unsafe. And somebody told me that I should just ignore that. And over time, I started to ignore a lot of the things, to the point where I didn't even trust my feelings.
oof,
And in that first program, I actually realized, oh, wow, I haven't really been feeling anything because I've been afraid of my feelings. I didn't know
yeah,
how to do them. I didn't even have feelings as a reference point to start hearing my knowing, to start hearing from myself. I had to block them all away because they were not something that had been valued. What had been valued was me being funny, happy, quiet when I needed to, all these things, but none of them were me just being responsive to my own
mm,
experience in the world.
mm.
Um, yeah, there was a lot of learning how to feel feelings at the end of that first program.
Yeah, yeah. And you actually, it was you that helped me see and realize that the mamas that are the most numb are actually the strongest feelers,
Yes.
because you all
Yeah.
feel so deeply and so strongly that because of some of those traumas and those wounds, it's so much for you to feel and experience, right? Especially when it's not
Yeah.
validated or what, that it's like the answer is like I'm gonna numb it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
sort of suppress all of it. But in suppressing some of those like harder emotions, we also are suppressing genuine joy and true love and intimacy and connection, like you've talked a
Yep.
lot about, right? So it was actually you that helped me see and understand that even more, that
Oh,
like it's the mamas that are numb that actually have the most feelings buried underneath. But I'm really grateful for you coming in and being honest about not feeling and feeling numb and all these
yeah.
things, because it really helped me understand a bit more, because I realized that it wasn't because you didn't have them. It was actually because you had them a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Um
Yep.
it's like a fake joy. It's like a fake I'm good in the world. But like you're saying, I was disconnected. I felt lonely, like all of these things. It's like, but you couldn't really fully connect to those
Hmm.
things. So you couldn't really fully connect to your joy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I learned so much from you, just witnessing your journey and being on that, you know, just
Hmm.
adventure with you. How have you applied what you've learned from the program? And
Hmm.
would you recommend this
Oh
program,
my,
or what advice would you give to other mamas?
the Wild Mama Master Plan program is revolutionary. for mamas in a way that I don't think there's nothing out there like it.
Mm.
There is nothing out there that takes this same approach, this same holistic, mama centered approach. It'll change your life.